So I'm going to go through showing you how to create your cartoon. We want to fill the whole page. A couple of examples in the class. This is one piece of stained glass that I made on paper using crayons and oil pastels. This is a trifold, a 3-paned oil pastel, crayon stained glass. So I use the same paper with both of them. This is a very thin piece of paper. It's called newsprint. It's really great because light can pass through it, even though it's not transparent, it is translucent. So light does pass through it. So you can start really anywhere on the paper. You can create any kind of a design. The simplest, most basic one is just doing a really simple symmetrical design. So that means it's going to be the same on both sides. Since I'm starting with a circle in the middle, I really want to try to keep it the same all the way around, which is more radial. So radial is a circle, symmetrical is in half, so side to side. When I draw, I want to make sure that I am going over those lines and I'm using a good amount of pressure, pressing down on the paper with my crayon so that I get nice, thick, dark lines. I want these lines to be bold so they imitate the lead that holds the different colored pieces of glass together in a window pane, in a stained glass window pane. I'm not going fast because this newsprint paper is thin. It's very, very easy to rip if I get a little bit too aggressive with my drawing. All right, so I have that. I don't need to go back over it and retrace it. I'm going to do a little bit of hopping. You can turn your paper while you're hopping if you want to, if it's easier, or you can just move your hand and keep your paper in place. This doesn't have to be perfect. Not every single one of my curved lines is exactly the same. There we go. Again, go back over it just to make it darker, make those lines a lot more bold because we want them to be visible when we put these pictures up in the window to see the light pass through them. All right, we're not going to see what's on the other side. We're just going to see the colors really pop out and stand out when the light shines through. We will be using oil pastels to color them in because the colors from the oil pastels are a little bit brighter, a little bit bolder. The crayon coloring is really awesome as far as the blending goes, but it's a much softer, more muted color. And I wanted to have some really bright, bold colors so that these pictures just really pop and stand out when we have them hanging in windows. All right, so this is 2 layers. I have my first layer, which is a circle in the middle. My second layer are my curved lines hopping around. I made a little bit of a mistake there. That line's going to be a little bit thicker than other lines. That's not a deal breaker. That's not an end of the road. It's going to make those lines thicker anyway, and I want them to be thicker, so that's fine. I actually might go back through at the end and make all of them that thick because I like how thick that looks. All right. So then I just kind of go back through. I use very simple lines and shapes. Nothing over the top. I'll just go ahead and finish throwing this together for you real quick. And then I'll go back in and darken up these lines. I'm trying to use a good amount of pressure right now so it's not as much work later on, but it's still going to be a little bit of work. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I like working with circles. There's something calming about them for me. And you do see a lot of circular shaped stained glass windows in different buildings, usually buildings that are used for religious ceremonies, government buildings, museums, really big buildings that a lot of people tend to go to have these type of decorative windows. Some of them are just decorative, it's just a design. Some of them have pictures in them to tell stories, and those story pictures were created because when stained glass was at its height, when it was the most popular, people couldn't read, so they were able to learn about their history through the stories in the stained glass pictures. Alright, so I am going all the way to the edge of my paper with this design, and I'm really keeping it simple. I'm just using circles and curved lines, so you do not have to overthink this at all. You can just keep it simple, and it does create this really fun pattern. I am getting bigger the farther away I get from the center of my paper, and I would suggest you do that simply because it's going to make it easier when you color in. You want to have a variety of sizes, but the bigger your spaces are, the easier it's going to be for you when it comes time to color it in. When you get to the edge of the paper, you can just do that. Just stop right there at the edge. I am going to continue until I get all the way to these edges as well. These edges right here. So once you get this done, don't forget you want to go back and trace over all of your lines because you want them to be really thick and really dark. And you can see from what I did in the first two layers the difference between these lines versus these lines. You want them to be dark like the center, not like the outside. If you have any questions, just let me know. I'll be more than happy to help you. Do any kind of troubleshooting that we need to do. Don't worry, there are no mistakes, and if you do make a mistake, just embrace it and be like, hey, this is going to give me a great opportunity to really focus on blending different colors, using those three primary colors to practice blending to make my orange, my green, my purple the way I want it to look, and see if I can get different variations of those colors. All right, and then you can really see what you can do with the oil pastels.